Well, Tsehay Hawkins has quickly become a fan fave for families right round the world, bringing her vibrant personality and infectious energy to Australia's iconic music group.
But beyond her new role as the beloved Yellow Wiggle, the 19-year-old has been going on a deeply personal journey. Almost 2 decades after being adopted, Tsehay has been on a quest to uncover her Ethiopian roots and reconnect with her birth parents. And now she's sharing her story on the Wiggle Talk podcast with the help of her fellow band members.
And Tsehay Hawkins joins us live in the studio along with her parents, Robyn and Reg.
Hey guys.
So nice to meet you. Tsehay, you were adopted when you were 6 months old from Ethiopia. Has it always been at the back of your mind that you wanted to find your birth parents?
Absolutely. I think just knowing what my parents may have looked like, what I got from them, kind of just you always would like to know. It's always been something I always thought about. But I have to say, a lot of children that are adopted, sometimes that's the only thing that makes them feel complete. Mm-hmm. I understand that, but for me, all I know is my life in Australia.
Yeah.
That's what's my norm. So I would love to know, but if I never find out, I kind of understand maybe it's not meant to be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You actually went back to Ethiopia last year twice, right?
Yeah.
And you still haven't found your birth parents. But what was the whole experience like with your parents here?
Oh, it was amazing. Honestly, the most beautiful experience. I think going over there, just seeing everyone that looked like me, I really was able to understand the reality of what it was actually like to be adopted, going to orphanages, seeing where I was from. But also, it was kind of funny because my parents remember more than me. They were the ones that were there when they adopted me. So a lot of the places we visited, they were like, oh my gosh, I remember this. And I was like, really? Like, I don't. So it was cool.
Robyn, can you tell us about your decision to adopt Tsehay? 19 years ago, nearly 20 years ago, but 19 years ago?
Yeah, we were trying for a baby and we found out that I had endometriosis and it was quite severe, and they told us that I wouldn't be able to have a child. Yeah. And we always had adoption in our back. We always talked about it, so it was always there. And, yeah, we decided to go down that road.
Okay. Reg, you actually managed to get hold of some of the original files from back in 2015, but some of Tsehay's paperwork was missing, right? How are you attacking this? What sort of, how much time are you spending on it? But you're very devoted to this concept.
Yeah, it's been quite difficult. You sort of get a little bit and you think you're on the right track, like with the files, for example. We went through, we had a whole bundle of files, and just the part where Tsehay's birth date was missing, which was a shame. Yeah. But we put in advertisements, radio advertisements in Ethiopia a few years ago, and still tracking down at the orphanages where she was staying. But we sort of keep hitting dead ends. The hospital where she was most likely born, the records section burnt down a few years ago. So
that makes things difficult, doesn't it? Every family with adopted children handle this situation differently. How early on did you have these conversations with Tsehay?
Well, it came quite natural, actually, because we don't look alike. It was pretty obvious.
Yeah. I get it.
And it just came up in conversation. We were guided by her questioning and age-appropriate, what would make sense to her at the time. Yeah. We just did it on a daily basis. And we also have things at home, like a candle that we light every year for Tsehay's birthday. And that brings up conversation. And on their wall, they've got a quilt that we've made of their story, so they can look at it and, go through it.
But you said you lost the records with Tsehay's actual birthday, so Tsehay could actually be like 30 now.
I literally used to say that. I was like, Mum, like if I was 18 earlier, I could have gone partying earlier. Driving earlier.
Tsehay, you're an idol for so many young people around the world. Everyone looks up to you. So how important is this to share this journey now?
Thank you. I think there's actually a lot of children who have been adopted, a lot of children that are from Africa that are watching me now on the Wiggles and have kind of gone through the same thing. Yeah. And I think just to let them know that they're validated in their feelings, whatever they feel, it could be a different story to mine, but that it is okay to want to know who your parents are. It's okay if you don't want to know. Just to embrace their culture. I think it's nice to share my story. I find a lot of people don't know my background, and then when I share it, they're like, no way, I was adopted too. Like, we've got similar backgrounds, and I think it's just to reach out, and if anyone wants to connect, I'm totally open to talk to them.
That's a beautiful thing to share. You talked about the culture because you have a brother
Yes.
Reg? Well, you don't. Sahai does. And that was the quilt you were talking about with their story.
Yes.
Because tell us that story as well.
Yeah, well, so 6 years after Tsehay, we adopted Kenley, so our son, and but completely different process to Colombia than what it was at Ethiopia.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're best buddies now, so from the very beginning.
We're out of time. I've got to ask you the question that everyone wants to ask you. When Tsehay was a baby and she was crying and you thought, well, just put the Wiggles DVD in, quieten her for a second. Did you ever put the DVD in to push play and think, maybe one day she'll be a Wiggle?
No.
No.
How crazy though.
The Wiggles was very popular in our house.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet. In all of our houses for the kids.
And even more popular now.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your story. It's a beautiful story. And look at these gorgeous...
Oh, is this Tsehay into...
This is Wiggle.
Yeah, look at
to the Wiggles.
Honestly.
Oh, priceless.
It was written in the stars. Look at that.
And yellow too. Look at
Yeah, and yeah.
See, babies don't dance like that when they watch the morning show. They go to sleep. Good to see you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, family. You can hear more about Tsahay's incredible story on the Wiggle Talk podcast.
Love that. Plus, you can catch the Wiggles live on the Bouncing Balls tour this weekend in Brisbane. Be a great show as always.